The massive command center of the Kraxan High Command buzzed with its usual efficiency as thousands of holographic displays tracked their empire's ongoing conquests across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. Admiral Zexkar stood at his customary position, his 4 arms clasped behind his back as he observed the day's reports. The process had become almost mundane after centuries of identical victories. That was until Monitor Station 847 detected something unusual from an unremarkable yellow star. "High Commander," the communication officer's voice wavered slightly. "We're receiving a transmission from an unregistered civilization in Sector 9. Zexkar's outer eyes remained fixed on the main display while his inner pair focused on the officer. "Classification: Pre-FTL, sir. They've just achieved basic interstellar communications." The officer paused, mandibles clicking in confusion. "But there's something odd about the signal." Zexkar allowed himself a small sigh. Another primitive species accidentally broadcasting their existence to the cosmos. The procedure was well established. Send in the fleet, demonstrate overwhelming force, and add another servant race to the Empire. He had overseen this process 17 times in his career. "Display the signal," he ordered, expecting the usual chaotic mess of primitive mathematical sequences or basic binary codes. The holographic display erupted with data. Not in one format, but in dozens. Mathematical sequences, yes, but also pictographic languages, sound patterns, electromagnetic spectrum analyses, and even crude attempts at biochemical communication protocols. The humans, as they called themselves, weren't just shouting into space. They were trying every possible way to say hello. "Sir," another officer spoke up, "they're broadcasting this simultaneously in 57 different formats, with built-in translation matrices for each one. The computational power alone suggests." "Show me their civilization profile," Zexkar interrupted, all 4 eyes now intensely focused on the data streams. The display shifted to show a blue-green world, surprisingly ordinary at first glance, but as the data poured in, Zexkar's confusion grew. The humans had never achieved unified planetary governance, yet somehow maintained a complex web of international relationships. They had no central military command, but their scattered armed forces coordinated with remarkable efficiency. Most baffling of all, they had developed thousands of distinct cultures and languages on a single world, and somehow made it work. "Sir, we're receiving calendar invites." The communication officer's voice rose in pitch. "They're requesting a preliminary meeting to discuss potential diplomatic relations and cultural exchange opportunities. They've attached several documents outlining proposed discussion topics and suggested dress codes." Zexkar felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries: uncertainty. The standard invasion fleet was already assembling in orbit, crews preparing for another routine conquest. But this was unprecedented. "They've included a preliminary agenda," another officer added, sounding equally perplexed, "and something called icebreaker activities." The massive command center fell silent as the implications sank in. Every species they'd encountered had either attacked, fled, or surrendered. None had ever responded to first contact by trying to schedule a meeting. "Sir," the strategic officer broke the silence, "our preliminary scans show no significant military buildup, no planetary defense system, not even unified planetary governance. Yet they're acting as if they've done this before, as if meeting an alien civilization is just another day at their office." Zexkar studied the continuing stream of diplomatic proposals, meeting requests, and carefully worded cultural sensitivity guidelines flowing across his display. For the first time in his long career, the standard conquest protocols seemed inadequate. These humans weren't acting like a primitive species at all. They were acting like veteran diplomats who had somehow been handling complex interstellar relations for millennia. "Send the fleet," he finally ordered, "but have them maintain distance. And," he paused, hardly believing his next words, "acknowledge their meeting request. I want to see what these humans do next. The Kraxan battle fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, their sleek warships arranged in the traditional pattern of intimidation that had broken the will of countless civilizations. Admiral Zexkar stood on the bridge of his flagship, expecting the usual waves of panic to emanate from the primitive planet below. Instead, his communication officer cleared their throat nervously. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from Earth. They're putting us on hold." Soft, melodic music filled the bridge. A pleasant human voice interrupted periodically. "Thank you for contacting Earth's First Contact Division. Your diplomatic inquiry is important to us. Please stay on the line, and the next available representative will be with you shortly." The bridge crew exchanged bewildered looks as the music continued. Some of them found their foot claws tapping unconsciously to the rhythm. "Sir," the tactical officer reported, scanning his displays with increasing confusion. "Their military vessels are maintaining standard patrol patterns. They haven't even raised shields, but we are detecting unusual activity in something called the United Nations building." Before Zexkar could respond, the hold music faded. A human face appeared on the main screen, wearing what their data suggested was professional business attire. "Good morning. I'm Sarah Chen, Senior Diplomatic Coordinator for First Contact Affairs. We're so pleased you could make it to our solar system on such short notice." Zexkar's mandibles clicked in confusion. She was speaking as if they were expected guests, not an invasion fleet. "We are the Kraxan Empire. We have come to..." "Oh yes, we've prepared quite a comprehensive welcome package for the Kraxan delegation," Sarah interrupted cheerfully, tapping at something off-screen. "You should be receiving our initial proposal now, along with some light reading material about Earth's various cultures and customs. We've included dietary preference forms. We want to ensure all catering arrangements meet your biological needs." The bridge's data officers staggered under an avalanche of incoming documents. Cultural guides, economic proposals, environmental impact assessments, and something called team-building exercise suggestions flooded their systems. "Now we've reserved Conference Room A on our orbital diplomatic station," Sarah continued, her smile never wavering. "We thought you might appreciate the zero-gravity environment, given the anatomical details we gathered from your ship designs. We've also prepared several PowerPoint presentations, though if your species prefers another format, we're happy to accommodate." Zexkar, veteran of 1,000 conquests, found himself completely off balance. "We are not here to attend your presentations. We are the Kraxan Empire." "We?" "Oh, of course. The Kraxan Empire's impressive history hasn't escaped our notice," Sarah nodded enthusiastically. "In fact, our cultural exchange team has prepared a fascinating comparison between Kraxan military traditions and Earth's various warrior cultures. We thought it might make an excellent icebreaker topic for the first session." The tactical officer raised a trembling claw. "Sir, they're sending us parking instructions for our fleet, and something called visitor badges. We find it helps keep things organized," Sarah explained. "Now we've scheduled the first meeting for what we believe translates to your tomorrow morning. We understand you might need time to review the materials and prepare any questions. Our diplomatic team will be available 24/7 if you need any clarification. Just press 3 on the auto-tended menu for immediate assistance." Zexkar, for the first time in his military career, found himself speechless. The humans weren't running. They weren't surrendering. They were trying to schedule his invasion fleet for a business meeting. "Oh, and one more thing," Sarah added brightly. "Could you please fill out the attached feedback forms? We're always looking to improve our first contact procedures. We look forward to a productive dialogue." The transmission ended, leaving the mighty Kraxan fleet floating in space, their fearsome weapons primed and ready, while their commanders stared at their screens in bewilderment, wondering why they had the sudden urge to update their calendars. In the covered operations center of the Kraxan flagship, Intelligence Director Vex Troll watched dozens of stealth drones transmit their findings from Earth's surface. After 3 days of intensive surveillance, She was beginning to wonder if her entire department had somehow gone mad. "Report status," she commanded, all four eyes fixed on the main display. "Director," her chief analyst's voice cracked slightly, "we've identified their primary military command centers, but they're hosting public tours with gift shops." Another analyst chimed in, "The humans have posted their entire governmental structure online, including detailed explanations of their weaknesses and internal conflicts. They're actually having public debates about them." Vextrol's mandibles clicked in irritation. What about their defensive preparations? They must be mobilizing their forces somewhere. "Well," the first analyst hesitated, "they're definitely mobilizing." But he pushed a series of images to the main screen. They showed humans frantically rushing around various buildings, but instead of weapons, they carried stacks of papers and something called laptop computers. "Their primary activity appears to be something called committee meetings," the analyst continued. "We've counted 2,847 separate meetings in the last 6 hours, all discussing first contact protocols. They're even arguing about whether to serve coffee or tea at the primary diplomatic reception." The surveillance feeds showed humans in various states of what the Kraxen had learned to identify as business casual attire, rushing between conference rooms with cups of stimulant beverages and stacks of colorful folders. "Show me their military response," Vextrol demanded. The display shifted to show Earth's armed forces. To her mounting confusion, they appeared to be practicing formation walking and preparing elaborate musical performances. "They call it a ceremonial honor guard," her cultural specialist explained. "They seem more concerned with the precision of their marching than their combat readiness. Also, they're debating which dress uniforms would be most appropriate for the welcome ceremony." A junior analyst raised a trembling claw. "Director, we've intercepted something disturbing. They're preparing thousands of something called PowerPoint presentations." Vextrol watched in growing disbelief as humans across the planet assembled slides filled with bullet points, transition animations, and an endless array of graphs and charts. Their military commanders weren't planning battle strategies. They were arguing about font choices and slide layouts. "What about their weapons research facilities?" she asked desperately. "We found those," another analyst reported. "They're conducting public tours and hosting science fairs. Several are in the middle of something called grant proposal season. Also, their scientists keep posting their research findings online for anyone to read." The main screen filled with images of humans preparing welcome banners, rehearsing greeting speeches in dozens of languages, and organizing what appeared to be cultural exchange festivals. One group was attempting to recreate Kraxen traditional dance moves based solely on their observations of the fleet's crew through telescope footage. "Director," her chief analyst said quietly, "we've detected another disturbing development. They're preparing icebreaker games and team-building exercises." Vextrol felt a chill run down her spine. In all her years of intelligence work, she had never encountered a species that responded to potential invasion with party planning. "What's our psychological warfare department's assessment?" she asked. "They've requested stress leave, Director. After analyzing human corporate training videos, half the staff needed emergency meditation sessions." A priority alert flashed across the main screen. The humans had just sent another batch of documents. Detailed dietary surveys, requests for personal pronouns and honorific preferences, and a comprehensive schedule of proposed cultural exchange activities. Vextrol stared at her team, then back at the screens showing humans excitedly practicing alien greeting customs and debating appropriate gift-giving protocols. "Send everything to Admiral Zexkar," she finally ordered. "And someone please explain to me why I have calendar invites for 3 different welcome committee planning sessions." The Orbital Diplomatic Station's Conference Room B had been carefully prepared for first contact. Admiral Zexkar led his delegation through the airlock, flanked by armed guards, only to find himself face to face with a smiling human holding a tray of decorated name tags. "Welcome to Earth's Orbital Diplomatic Center. I'm Tom from Guest Services," Could you please confirm the spelling of your names? We want to make sure your badges are correct. The mighty Craxan warriors, conquerors of 17 civilizations, found themselves pinning on plastic badges with their names written in cheerful bubble letters. Someone had even added little smiley faces to the corners. Please help yourself to refreshments. Tom gestured to a side table. We've synthesized some traditional Craxan energy pellets based on your ship's supply readings. Also, we have coffee, tea, and those little sandwich triangles everyone likes. The human diplomatic team sat on one side of the large conference table, each with identical folders, tablets, and what appeared to be gift bags for their alien guests. The chief human negotiator, Dr. Helen Martinez, stood to greet them. Before we begin, she smiled warmly, we've prepared welcome packages for everyone. Inside you'll find our preliminary proposals, cultural guides, and some Earth souvenirs. The stress balls are particularly popular. They're squeezable toys designed to help with tension during long meetings. Zexkar watched in mute horror as his fearsome warriors began curiously squeezing the colorful stress balls under their claws. Now, Dr. Martinez continued, activating a holographic display. We've prepared a brief presentation on potential areas of cooperation. We'll start with an overview of Earth's various cultural and governmental systems, then move on to economic opportunities. We've included several spreadsheets showing projected mutual benefits. The Craxan delegation found themselves drawn into the most bewildering battle they'd ever faced: death by PowerPoint. Slides filled with charts, graphs, and animated transitions flowed past. Humans took turns presenting different sections, smoothly transitioning between speakers with practiced ease. As you can see from this pie chart, a human economist was saying, our market analysis suggests significant opportunities for cultural and technological exchange. We've even identified several Craxan delicacies that our focus groups found quite appealing. Zexkar's strategic officer leaned over to whisper, Sir, they've already developed marketing plans for exporting our food to their planets. They're suggesting fusion restaurants. Before Zexkar could respond, the humans moved on to their next presenter, a cultural exchange specialist who enthusiastically detailed plans for student exchange programs, joint scientific research projects, and something called interspecies food festivals. We've also prepared a proposal for sporting events, she beamed. Our analysts believe several Craxan military training exercises could be adapted into fascinating competitive sports. Just imagine the tourism potential. The Admiral watched his supposedly ruthless warriors nodding along, several taking notes. His intelligence director was actually raising her claw to ask questions about market penetration strategies. And of course, Dr. Martinez took over again. We're very interested in learning more about Craxan administrative systems. Your empire's efficiency in managing conquered worlds could offer fascinating insights for our own bureaucratic processes. Zexkar finally found his voice. You want to learn from us about bureaucracy? Oh yes, though we might have some suggestions about streamlining your conquest paperwork. Have you considered implementing a digital filing system? Our efficiency experts noticed several areas where automation could reduce your administrative overhead by at least 35%. The meeting concluded with humans distributing feedback forms and setting up follow-up sessions. As Zexkar led his dazed delegation back to their ships, he realized something terrifying. Somehow, without a single shot being fired, the humans had gotten them to agree to 6 different committee memberships and a joint cultural festival next spring. Even worse, he was actually looking forward to it. Intelligence Director Vextrol sat in her office aboard the flagship, staring at the latest report with all 4 eyes wide in disbelief. The human diplomatic team had somehow resolved a 3-century-old blood feud between 2 Craxan clan chiefs through the strategic use of shared calendar invites and a collaborative spreadsheet. Play the recording again, she ordered. The holographic display showed a young human diplomat, fresh out of something called graduate school, mediating between the 2 ancient rivals. So, the human was saying, cheerfully creating a new spreadsheet column, If Clan Zexthor takes responsibility for fleet maintenance on odd-numbered cycles, and Clan Virakath handles even-numbered cycles, you'll both save approximately 40% on operational costs. We can set up automated reminder notifications to prevent any scheduling conflicts. The clan chiefs, who had been ready to declare another blood war just hours earlier, were now nodding enthusiastically and discussing shared procurement strategies. And look, the human continued. I've created a shared digital calendar for coordinating your ritual combat ceremonies. No more double booking the sacred arena. Plus, I've added a neat feature that automatically sends out invites for post-battle reconciliation brunches. Vextrol's communication officer interrupted her viewing. Director, we're receiving more reports. The humans have introduced something called employee satisfaction surveys to several Kraxan battle groups. What's the damage? Crew morale is up 47%. They're actually filling out the feedback forms voluntarily. Several battlecruiser captains have already implemented casual uniform Fridays. The situation was spinning out of control. Across the fleet, centuries of rigid military tradition were being undermined by human concepts like work-life balance and positive workplace culture. Even more disturbing, productivity was somehow improving. A priority alert flashed on her screen. The humans had just submitted their latest diplomatic proposal, a massive document that somehow addressed every major internal conflict in the Kraxan Empire through a combination of scheduling solutions, shared resource management, and mandatory tea breaks. "Get me Admiral Zexkar," she ordered. The Admiral's hologram appeared, looking slightly harried. He was wearing what appeared to be a human casual business attire adaptation for Kraxan anatomy. "Director, make it quick. I have a team-building exercise in 10 minutes. Sir, the humans have done something unprecedented. They've actually read our entire administrative code, all 17 million sections of it. Yes, and they've submitted proposed revisions, with color coding and annotations. They've identified over 3,000 redundant procedures and suggested streamlining measures that could reduce our conquest paperwork by 60%. The Admiral's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. How did they manage to understand our administrative system so quickly? That's just it, sir. They're calling our most complex bureaucratic procedures charmingly straightforward compared to something they call tax season. They've offered to send efficiency consultants. Another alert caught her attention. Sir, we're getting reports from the fleet. The humans have introduced something called project management software to our invasion planning department. Effects. Invasion efficiency is up 80%. But sir, nobody wants to invade anymore. They're too busy creating Gantt charts and optimization spreadsheets. 3 battle groups have requested permission to attend something called a strategic planning retreat on Earth. Zexkar was quiet for a moment. Director, do you realize what this means? The humans aren't just adapting to our systems, they're evolving them. They've taken our most complex administrative procedures and treated them like entry-level paperwork. Sir, should we be worried? Worried? Director, for the first time in Kraxan history, our requisition forms are being processed ahead of schedule. We're actually under budget for this invasion. And he looked around furtively. I haven't had to work overtime since we implemented their Inbox Zero strategy. Admiral Zexkar stood before the Kraxan High Command, preparing to deliver his weekly status report on the Earth situation. The ceremonial combat arena had been converted into what the humans called an auditorium-style conference space, complete with comfortable seating and a state-of-the-art presentation system. As you can see from this quarterly performance review, he gestured to a meticulously designed slide. Our implementation of human management techniques has yielded unexpected results. The High Command members, traditionally the most conservative force in Kraxan society, were taking notes on tablets. Several were using human-designed productivity apps to organize their thoughts. Our traditional conquest efficiency metric has decreased by 95%. Zexkar continued. But our overall productivity and satisfaction ratings have increased by 300%. This pie chart clearly shows. Admiral, Supreme Commander Vexthul interrupted. Are you suggesting that these human methods are superior to our traditional approach of glorious combat? With respect, Supreme Commander, Zexkar pulled up a new slide. Let me show you this cost-benefit analysis. Our traditional glory through combat promotion system costs us approximately 10,000 warriors per cycle. The human suggestion of performance reviews and career development programs has reduced casualties to zero while increasing job satisfaction. The younger members of High Command were nodding enthusiastically. One of them raised a claw. Admiral, is it true that the humans have something called professional development workshops? Indeed. In fact, we've scheduled a fleet-wide seminar on effective communication in a multi-species workplace for next week. The humans are providing certified instructors and something called participation certificates. The presentation continued, showing charts and graphs depicting the radical transformation sweeping through Craxan society. Battle fleets were being reorganized into operational divisions with clear reporting structures. Warriors were attending workshops on conflict resolution and emotional intelligence. But the most remarkable change, Zexkar pulled up his final slide, has been in our recruitment numbers. Since implementing the human concept of work-life balance and competitive benefits packages, applications to join the fleet have increased by 500%. A junior commander raised her claw. What about the sacred tradition of trial by combat? We've rebranded it as competitive team-building exercises, Zexkar explained. The humans introduced us to something called paintball. All the glory of combat, none of the casualty paperwork. The meeting room buzzed with excited discussion. High Command members were already scheduling follow-up meetings to discuss implementation strategies. Someone had even started a group chat to coordinate lunch orders. After the presentation, Zexkar's communication officer approached with an urgent message. Sir, we're receiving reports from across the Empire. Our colonies are demanding human-style democratic reforms and transparent governance structures. How are the planetary governors responding? They're organizing focus groups and creating feedback surveys, sir. 3 sectors have already implemented town hall meetings. Zexkar checked his tablet, now synchronized with the human calendar system. He had a cross-cultural leadership summit in 10 minutes, followed by a strategic planning session with Earth's diplomatic team. The most surprising part, he was actually looking forward to it. The humans had introduced something called coffee breaks between meetings, and he'd grown quite fond of their bitter stimulant beverage. His strategic officer burst in, mandibles clicking with excitement. Sir, you won't believe this. The humans just shared their project management methodologies with our invasion planning department. Results. The entire department has reorganized itself into agile teams. They're using something called scrum boards to track planetary conquests. But sir, they're so busy having daily stand-ups and sprint planning meetings, they haven't actually invaded anyone in weeks. Zexkar nodded thoughtfully. The humans had achieved something unprecedented. They'd made peace profitable and efficiency enjoyable. Their weapons weren't ships or guns, but spreadsheets and scheduling apps. And somehow, they were winning. The Grand Hall of the Craxan Central Command had witnessed countless military triumphs over the centuries. Today, it was hosting something entirely different. The first ever Craxan Employee Wellness Summit. Intelligence Director Vextrol stood at the back of the packed auditorium, watching in amazement as a young Craxan officer demonstrated something called desk yoga to an enthusiastic crowd. The presentation screen behind him showed proper stretching techniques adapted for Craxan anatomy. Director, her assistant whispered urgently, we have a situation developing across the Empire. Another rebellion. Worse, they're organizing book clubs. 3 battle groups have started meditation circles. The 3rd Fleet is hosting a pottery workshop. Vextrol's communication device buzzed with another update. The Warrior Caste Council, traditionally the most conservative body in Craxan society, had just voted to rename itself the Professional Development Association. They were already planning their first leadership retreat. "What's happening in the training academies?" she asked, dreading the answer. They'd completely revamped the curriculum. Combat training has been reduced to 3 hours per week. The rest is, her assistant checked the tablet, conflict resolution workshops, cultural sensitivity training, and something called mindfulness meditation. On stage, the wellness seminar had moved on to a presentation about work-life balance. The speaker, a battle-scarred fleet commander, was enthusiastically describing his journey into personal growth and self-actualization. "When I learned about the human concept of weekend hobbies," he was saying, "it changed my life. Now, instead of conducting planetary bombardments, I do watercolor painting. Would anyone like to see my latest piece?" The audience of hardened warriors leaned forward eagerly as he displayed a surprisingly delicate painting of space flowers. Vextrol's tablet pinged again. This time, it was a message from Supreme Command itself. She opened it to find an employee satisfaction survey with a smiley face rating system. "Director," her assistant interrupted again, "the humans have introduced something new. They call it Casual Friday. How bad is it?" The entire 7th Battle Fleet has replaced their armor with something called business casual. They're wearing polo shirts. Across the Empire, centuries of militant tradition were crumbling before the unstoppable force of human organizational culture. Combat arenas were being converted into collaborative workspaces. Ritual duels were being replaced by peer review sessions. Someone had even started a fleet-wide newsletter. In the capital, the High Command War Room had been renovated into an open-plan office space. The strategic planning table, where countless invasions had been plotted, now held a coffee machine and a basket of fresh fruit. "One more thing, Director," her assistant added nervously. "Remember those suggestion boxes the humans introduced?" "Yes. They're being used. Voluntarily. Warriors are submitting ideas for process improvement and workplace enhancement. Some of them are even using proper formatting templates." The presentation on stage had moved on to a workshop about effective email communication. Warriors who had once conquered star systems were now taking notes about proper subject line etiquette and the importance of prompt replies. Vextrol looked down at her own tablet, where a calendar notification reminded her of tomorrow's cross-departmental synergy workshop. She had already prepared her PowerPoint presentation, complete with animated transitions. "Should we try to stop this?" her assistant asked quietly. Before she could answer, another wave of notifications flooded in. The Conquest fleet had reorganized itself into project teams. The planetary occupation forces were implementing flexible working hours. Someone had started an empire-wide chat channel for sharing productivity tips. Most shocking of all, efficiency was at an all-time high. The Empire was running more smoothly than ever, even though nobody had been conquered in weeks. "Stop it." Vextrol muted her tablet as another meeting invitation arrived. "I don't think we could if we wanted to. The humans have introduced something far more powerful than weapons." "What's that?" "Organizational competence. Also," she checked her calendar, "I have a yoga class in 10 minutes. The Galactic news networks could hardly believe their feeds. The dreaded Craxan Empire, terror of 3 spiral arms, was hosting its first Interstellar Trade Conference. The theme: Sustainable Growth Through Collaborative Synergy. Admiral Zexkar, now sporting the newly created title of Chief Innovation Officer, stood at the podium before representatives from 50 different species. His ceremonial armor had been replaced with what humans called a smart business suit, custom-tailored for Craxan physiology. "Welcome to the first annual Galactic Cooperation Summit," he began, clicking to his first slide. "We're particularly excited about our keynote presentation, From Conquest to Cooperation, a case study in organizational evolution. In the audience, various alien species who had spent centuries hiding from Kraxan battle fleets watched in bewilderment as their former enemies enthusiastically discussed market penetration strategies and sustainable development goals. As you can see from this quarter's metrics, Zexkar continued, gesturing to a complex chart. Our transition from planetary conquest to strategic partnership initiatives has yielded unprecedented growth. We're particularly proud of our new mission statement, empowering galactic harmony through innovative solutions. The presentation moved on to showcase the Empire's revolutionary changes. Battle fleets have been reorganized into logistics and distribution networks. Planetary invasion protocols have been replaced with market entry strategies. The dreaded warrior caste had rebranded itself as Interstellar Development Consultants. In the front row, the human diplomatic team smiled proudly. Their greatest weapon, corporate culture, had achieved what no battleship could. It had transformed the galaxy's most feared military empire into a surprisingly efficient interstellar business organization. We're especially excited about our new initiatives, Zexkar announced. Our Warriors to Managers transition program has been particularly successful. Last month's team-building retreat had a 98% satisfaction rating. The audience's attention was caught by a commotion at the back of the hall. A group of previously unknown aliens had arrived, brandishing weapons and demanding the immediate surrender of the sector. Before anyone could panic, a Kraxan customer service representative approached them with a tablet and a friendly mandible click. "Welcome to our conference. Have you considered scheduling a preliminary consultation to discuss your strategic objectives? We have some immediate openings for our Alternatives to Conquest workshop. There's even a free lunch seminar." 2 hours later, the would-be Conquerors were enthusiastically participating in a breakout session about effective communication strategies, their weapons forgotten in the complimentary tote bags they'd received at registration. As the conference continued, news spread across the galaxy. The Kraxan Empire, once synonymous with terror, was now becoming known for its excellent employee benefits package and innovative management practices. Their military academy had been converted into a business school, offering courses in strategic peace management and interspecies marketing. In the conference center's networking area, formerly fearsome Kraxan warriors discussed productivity apps with their former enemies. Someone had started a multi-species book club. The battlefield had been replaced by the boardroom, and somehow, everyone was happier for it. Admiral Zexkar concluded his presentation to thunderous applause. As he stepped down from the podium, his assistant reminded him of his next appointments: a meditation session with the former Planetary Conquest Division, now the Market Research Team, followed by a virtual yoga class, and then a strategic planning meeting about the upcoming office holiday party. He looked out over the conference hall, where dozens of species mingled freely, exchanging business cards and scheduling lunch meetings. In one corner, a group of young Kraxan officers was excitedly showing other species how to use their new project management software. "You know," he remarked to the human diplomatic representative standing nearby, "when you first introduced us to PowerPoint presentations, I never imagined it would lead to this." The human smiled. "Just wait until you see what we can do with team-building retreats." Across the galaxy, the message was clear. The era of conquest was over. The age of middle management had begun.